movie was not given a big budget just simply because they didn't know whether or not it was going to actually be a success. Um, this time around, it still maintained a lot of the charm of the first Deadpool movie. Had a lot of the same sort of tonal qualities to it. It's obviously that they spent their money, but they spent it well, as far as I'm concerned. They were able to upgrade in very subtle ways to make it an interesting film, but without the money really shining through. Like, it wasn't like they were all of a sudden like, okay, like now that we've got all this money, we're gonna start casting a bunch of, I don't know, crazy people in it, and using all this extra CG crap and blah 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 blah. I thought that what I was hesitant on the Cable casting because one of the early casting choices for Cable that I was seeing floating around was actually Kevin Nash, who's a professional wrestler who's also in Magic Mike XXL. I thought that would have been better because it would have been a taller Cable, which is kind of what you kind of expect from Cable, but whatever. I thought that it was all in all very, very well done. So I would definitely recommend that you go out and see that. It's a superhero movie in all of the best ways that a superhero movie is a superhero movie. It's a bunch of explosions. You get some laughs, some cool fighting, some interesting set pieces, and of course, you get Deadpool, doing something wacky in the middle of the film with a regenerating limb. So I think that's all I can say without getting into deep spoiler territory with the movie. I enjoyed some of the cameos in the film. I thought that this was maybe the best Stan Lee cameo that I could see in a long time, and I think this isn't giving away anything too much. The post-credit sequences were both very, very good and very, very worthwhile sticking around in theater for. So I think that's everything I can say about Deadpool without giving away too much about Deadpool and getting people angry at me for spoiling Deadpool. So what else is going on? Arrested Development Season 5 is imminent. Can't wait for that, man. That's one of those shows, man, that I just have loved for years. And it's actually I realized that it's been an age since I sat down and watched the whole thing. So I actually recently did start watching some of the early episodes, and the girlfriend has never really seen Arrested Development. So she was sort of half watching it with me this weekend, and it's interesting watching it from fresh eyes, because she'll pick up some of the more obvious tropey type sitcom storyline things that are going on the show, but then she'll also get to enjoy where they take an odd twist with it, or where they have an interesting visual gag going on in the background during the running of it. Season 5 is looking like it's going to be very, very well and of its time again. I mean, of course, this show came out originally during the Bush administration, right around the Iraq War. It was very, very timely of its time back in those days. It made some really good cutting satirist remarks about the the Republican base, to be perfectly frank. I think that from what I've seen of the trailers for the new season so far, it's looking really, really phenomenal across the board there in terms of dealing with the modern take on things. What else is up? Trailer for Bohemian Rhapsody, the film about Queen, is out. I actually saw some criticism about this that I'm not 100% on board with. Some folks who, some early viewer type critic types that are a little bit upset with what the film is going to be portraying. The chief complaint is that maybe some of Freddie Mercury's life is being a little bit whitewashed in favor of it being a more critic, or not critic friendly, more audience friendly, a broad audience friendly depiction of Freddie Mercury's life. A lot of those complaints seem to be surrounding the idea that it's actually a movie about Freddie Mercury. It seems to me that it's more actually a movie about Queen at sort of the height of their powers. Certainly, the majority of the trailer is actually surrounding Queen in the studio, Queen on stage, Queen actually putting together the title song of the movie, Bohemian Rhapsody. Queen, having some problems with record executives who feel that their songs are too long and things of that nature. Seems to be that it's more a film about Queen than it is about Freddie Mercury. Also, like, some of the complaints seem to be that they're not gonna focus on the fact that he has he was bisexual and that he had male companions, and of course had a male companion towards the end of his life. In the trailer, there's like an actual moment of that seems to be Freddie being amorous with a man, so I don't know where they get that from. Also, some complaints apparently that Freddie Mercury's HIV, AIDS is maybe not going to be focused in on. The other things that I've read is that this is going to kind of crescendo in 1985, so not as pressing. Of course, by that point, I think by that point he knew he had HIV. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be dealt with in the film, and I think that's maybe the biggest thing that we can take away from this is that we just simply don't know. Also, it's not a Freddie Mercury biopic, I guess. Biography film. We'll go with that. It's very clearly a movie about the band. And it's very clearly about a period of time in the band. It's not just solely about Freddie Mercury. If it was just solely about Freddie Mercury, and they weren't going to touch on those parts of his life that were obviously very important to him, the people that he loved, and of course the way that he died, I think that then, yeah, you've got some concerns. But also, like, this is a film that comes out in November, and we're just seeing the first blush trailer of it now. Realistically, anybody who's making any real comment about this and criticizing it has seen as much as you or I have by seeing this trailer. And then anything beyond that is, to quote Brother Love, rumor and innuendo. And we all know that that's just bullshit. So I'm willing to give it a try. I'm also willing to be skeptical about it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not gonna say that it's going to be all right and all fine and everything's gonna be hyper super dandy. Like, The Imitation Game wasn't a perfect film either, and it certainly did whitewash over some of Alan Turing's life and certainly some of his homosexual proclivities. That's maybe the weirdest way that I possibly could have said that. It wasn't a perfect look at his life, and there was some valid criticism, is what I'm driving at here. But realistically, we didn't know that at first, and if we had been jumping down the film's throat before it ever got out, that saying that The Imitation Game is making Alan Turing out to be a purple-skinned man from Mars, there would have been no value in that, and it wouldn't have been true. So, at the very least, wait until the critics' reviews are available for the actual final cut of the film before we start complaining that the movie isn't doing anything in particular particularly well. That's what I have to say about that there. Other things I'm excited about. We are just a few short days away, guys, from Solo, the Han Solo movie in the Star Wars universe, going on the story of young Han Solo's life and times, how he gets the Millennium Falcon from Lando Calrissian, being portrayed, of course, by Donald Glover, who we talked about earlier on in the show. I can't wait for this. I really, really can't. It looks like it's just going to be fun, which is what I'm looking forward to from a Star Wars movie. I know there's some criticism that maybe the Star Wars movies are the Star Wars license is maybe getting oversaturated in the marketplace. To those people, I say, shut up and let me enjoy my movies. I loved Rogue One. I thought it was one of the better Star Wars movies. Certainly, I would say, Rogue One better than any of the prequel trilogy was. The two new movies in the Star Wars franchise, episodes 7 and 8, very, very, very good, very enjoyable. I would say, like, laudably bringing forward the Star Wars story. Really, really enjoyable films, and just like a nice mixture of fan service and also, just really good storytelling across the board. I enjoyed and loved both of them so much, and I really am looking forward to episode 9. Which, like, do we have a title for episode 9 yet? I actually don't even know. Let's look. We're looking this up live right now as I'm recording this show. I guess, we don't actually have a title for episode 9 yet, so looking forward to hearing about that. Of course, J.J. Abrams is back to directing that movie. It's going to be coming out next year, and I don't know. I can't wait. It's going to be the final in the sequel trilogy, and then maybe we're going to go beyond the sort of Skywalker family and that core group of the rebels that we know and love. Of course, at this point, not to get any crazy spoilers here, but the original trio from the original movies aren't really around anymore. So, what direction did they go from here? And, like, are we going to maybe see some films maybe focusing exclusively on Finn, or focusing exclusively on Rey, without the sort of the broader First Order versus Rebel Alliance sort of situation there? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, and I'm looking forward to it. I think that it's a really great way to take these stories and these worlds that we've come to know and love forward, and I'm really looking forward to more of it because I love Star Wars quite a bit. And that's going to do it for the shit that I'm excited about portion of the show. On the other side of this little musical break, we're going to talk about something that people were also excited about that took place this weekend, the royal wedding. I've got some thoughts on that, on Meghan Markle, her father, and some of the commentary that I saw all over the internet. So right after this musical break, we'll get into that section of the show. Stay with me. I mean, it's not like you're going to change channels. This is a podcast. I guess you can turn it off, but that would just be strange. This would be a strange point in the show for you to turn it off at 27 minutes in, or almost 28. I'm going to shut up. Music. All right, so on Saturday, just hours before the wedding that I later attended, there was a slightly larger wedding that went down. I don't know. You may have heard something about it here or there on the news. Of course, I'm referring to the royal wedding between Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. This all sort of seemed to come out of nowhere, I guess. Honestly, like, before I get into this whole thing, I think it's absolutely, like, it is crazy that this woman is retiring at age 36 from her acting career, where she's only really had, like, I was just looking at her filmography, and, like, I mean, Suits, which is what she's sort of best known for, is really the only thing that she was in any sort of regular capacity as Rachel Zane. Series regular between seasons 1 through 7, 2011 through 2018, and just, like, nothing really in terms of, like, actual film work, but, like, has probably made enough money on Suits, I'm sure, that she could have lived a very comfortable life regardless. But she, gets to retire at age 36 and live a life that, I mean, like, the thing about the royals is they do have to I mean, they don't have to do anything, but they do tend to do a fair amount of sort of social charity type work, bring attention to different causes and different things that they're personally interested in. And I know that she in particular has been a big proponent